I'm Amy.
I'm Wendell.
And I'm Patrick.
And
this is
Yes,
But Why?
Podcast. So just now we were across the street with Jeff Whitaker talking about like different kinds of performance production and stuff. Like how for you, and I haven't seen you in a while, how for you has been the last couple of months as far as like putting up shows and producing, like, because New Orleans has a very specific flavor to it as far as like how you produce and how shows go. So what have been your recent projects? What have you been working on?
So my newest project is a storytelling show called Unreliable. I was a big fan of Shipwrecked when it was here, and I tried to steal the Shipwrecked brand to no avail. So I just, along with Maggie Ritchie, we created Unreliable, which is going into its sixth month, this month, November, which is wonderful.
Yeah.
So that's been the real project. Of all of the things that I don't do programming. And so I produce school night every week, but that feels very much like an extension of the conservatory because it's just the recital shows.
Right.
Yeah.
And occasionally a mashup here or there, and we don't have a recital. But that doesn't feel like producing a show, even though I guess technically it is. So Unreliable feels like producing a show. It's been great. It's been awesome.
Yeah. What sort of things have you noticed in your in the stories that you're getting? Is there what's the theme? It's called Unreliable. What's the theme?
Yeah, so the theme changes every month. So the show, in a general sense, is a curated monthly true story show. So true to life stories, about 5 minutes long. It's curated, so we ask people to we invite people to participate, or they email us and let us know they're interested, and then we help them along with their story. So it's a little bit different than the Bob, it's a little bit different than Bring Your Own, which are the other two storytelling shows in the city, and it's different than Queer Mountain, which is the other storytelling show at the theater. And then we choose a different theme each month, and we just let people interpret that theme however they see fit. So we've gotten really funny stories. We did Just Tough Enough a couple months ago was our theme, and we got a story of like a woman who played semi-pro all-women football at the age of 38. And then we got a story of a Korean War veteran who was there for the Bikini Atoll nuclear testing and was sitting on a ship a couple of 100 yards away from the explosion of nuclear weapons. So it runs the gamut between like funny and not at all funny, which is what we wanted.
So it's not all performers that you're getting. You're getting people from all over the city, all sorts of different walks of life.
Yeah, we sort of intentionally do that. We try. So Maggie Ritchie has moved off the show, and Karen Chapman has moved on as a co-producer. And Karen's a writer and a professor at UNO, a writing professor. And so we're getting a lot of writers now from her world. But we are very intentionally trying to only have no more than 2 people from the T&M community on each show, and then trying to grab people from all over.
How are you putting the word out to like pull these people in?
Yeah, so at the core of it, it's just reaching out to people. I've been here forever.
Gotcha. I
have my hands in 5 or 6 different groups of people, right? So I'm just trying to reach out to people. And then we're doing kind of the general promotion of, social media promotion, trying to get people involved. And we've had a handful of people submit to be a storyteller, which is what we're hoping to grow, to have a longer and longer backlog of people who would like to do it that we can send the list out to.
Definitely.
So for now, it's been us reaching out to personal relations and then getting maybe a half dozen or so submissions over the course of the last few months.
Man, bless you for knowing people not in the theater.
Yeah.
I don't know that I've even...
Where do you find the time?
Yeah, it's like, do you speak to people? How do you do it? It occurred to me the other day that my, point of view in the world is so, insular. And I was like, somebody was talking about some... people were talking about, my office, now that this stuff is coming out about, women's rights, people are, the office has kind of gotten a little bit better and I don't have to deal with blah, blah, blah. And I was like, what is that? I don't even understand. It's been so long since I've even had like an office job that I was just like, oh, what's life like? I just hang out with smiley improvisers. I don't...
Yeah, it's such a weird microcosm being in this world. I mean, I've been here forever, and I've only been improv for the last 4 years, so...
Oh, right, so the city is a wider world for you.
I have 34 years of stuff in the city, of knowing people, and the music world, and old radical kids, and tattoo people, and et cetera, rugby people, and high school people, and God knows who else. So...
Okay, so yeah, it's not like you just going out and hanging out with normies. Like everybody's got their own just schlubby office people. Yeah. At least you're like you have a good well of it, like actually interesting people.
Sorry, office people, we love you. Thank you for listening to the podcast.
Nobody out
Get out while you can.
Yeah. Become interesting. Maybe we'll connect.
Oh, you're so cool. Oh my god.
No, it's like one of those things where the most interesting thing anybody like in my regular life does is like go to Soul Cycle, which I do find interesting, but in a different way than they do. Like I'm like terrified that that's something that everybody's super into.
Someday offline, I'm going to ask you what that is, because right now I feel like that could take the whole rest of the 30 minutes.
Soul Cycle?
No, man, I need to know. I like to imagine what I think it is. I don't want a bike. I just imagine that like it's auras, so I'm fine.
Yeah.
Just refreshing your soul.
An out of body spinning class. That's what it is.
I love it. What made you go to storytelling? As far as like, this isn't the first show that you've ever produced. So what was the reason why you like leaned towards storytelling?
I think Shipwreck turned me on to storytelling in general. It was a show here for a few years that James Hamilton and Sophie Johnson did. It was incredible. It was such a touching show. And that was maybe my first experience really seeing storytelling. And so I think that just stuck with me. And it stuck with me long enough that when the opportunity came, I had been thinking about it for a long time. And then Maggie Ritchie finally like grabbed me. We were chatting about producing a show together. She mentioned that. And that was the real catalyst. It was like, cool, this is the time to do it. And we did it. Storytelling's, I mean, you know, it's cliche to say it's the way that we've always communicated. It's the way that we've, you know, it's lore, it's myth, it's everything that we understand about humanity from times before there were recorded history. It's, you know, storytelling is the core of our civilized, you know, way of life.
Yeah.
So
is that like, as far as like the true story aspect, are you interested as far as like what the swath of human experience is? Because like when I do sketch or improv, I try to think about what human experience is and then bring it into characters that don't exist. But, you know, talking to real people changes it up.
Yeah, I love seeing what people come up with. I try to encourage people to interpret the themes in whatever way they can. You know, last month in October we did Spirit, which, you know, was supposed to sit in the kind of TNM RIP Halloween-y world because our show's at the end of the month. Mm-hmm. But I wanted people very badly to interpret that however they wanted to. And Tammy Nelson was on the show, and she interpreted it as school spirit and then told a story about being in high school, which is great. That's what I want. Because I do. I want people's personalities and the different ways that people view the world to come out in a singular show. Each show so far has had very much its own vibe. Like it exists in this weird little bubble. The lighting's weird. It's just a single spotlight. We have a musical guest that plays in between sets. And so it really creates this like cool bubble of energy for each show.
So you find a different musician every month?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's like different. Do you try to match like the genre of music to the theme, or is
we just let it happen?
Okay, yeah,
and just let it be magic when it's going to be magic. There have been a number of times that the musician doesn't know the stories beforehand. There have been a number of times. Maybe the musicians are like working on the fly, but there have been a number of times where they'll start playing a song and it's like, this is very related to what we just heard.
Awesome.
Or even better and more magical, they play a song and then the story after is like, wait a minute. It's the same thing. It's incredible.
Interesting. It's like a group mind situation. All of a sudden, the musician feels connected to the storytellers and helps develop the whole thing. I like that music idea. That's really awesome.
It's such a cool idea. Again, I stole everything from Shipwrecked. Like 100%, unashamedly. The show was great, and I wanted it, so I did it. With the help, of course, of other people. But yeah, one of the things that they did was they had a musical guest each time that plays in between each song in between each storyteller as transitions, and it's worked out really well. We've had every single time we've had just acoustic guitar and vocalist, just a single person, not a band. I'm trying to remember if Tyler brought a keyboard or not. I think he ended up with a guitar. Either way, it's like single person. The spotlight shifts, so there's like a spotlight on the musician, and they play a song, and then it shifts to the storyteller, and they do their story. It's great. It's awesome.
No, and it seems like the ingredients for that show are something that New Orleans has in spades. You know, it's just you're never going to run out of musicians here, and you're never going to run out of interesting people.
Yeah,
and that's a really good thing to keep in mind building a show. Is like what do I have plenty of in this environment? You know.
Yeah, that's true.
Like it's like why not utilize the world outside of this building to help build a show? You know, it's really really smart.
Well, and I think when thinking about producing a show, I think we get starry-eyed so easily, especially in this community where it's like, I want to do everything because there's so many people doing everything, that we get starry-eyed and think we could do anything, when I think it helps to look at, like, what are you passionate about? Or what do you know a little bit more about? Or what is it about your personality specifically that draws you to this type of show?
Yeah.
You know? And I think that helps make it work.
Yeah. Like a self-evaluation of kind of like, what can I put into this that would actually set it apart from anything else?
Right.
Do you think your effort in that way is built on the fact that you've been sort of mentoring the community for the past couple of years? Like, because I feel like, you know, in my mode, when I'm teaching more actively, I'm dealing with everyone, whether it's the person at, you know, who's the cashier at HEB or the, like, you know, guy at Jiffy Lube. I deal with them all like I'm their teacher. I'm like, how's it going? What's going on? How are you? How's your day? You're doing great. Look at that. My car is so running great right now. You know, so I wonder if the experience you've had, you know, doing, you know, mentoring the TNM students has helped develop that.
Yeah, I wonder. I don't know. I haven't thought of it that way. I think for Unreliable, my organizational skills are what I use most. But I'm not, I don't know. I haven't thought about it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking at it from the outside, so of course I have a different point of view to the whole thing. How has been being a leader of the community? People must come to you. You have to give people advice all the time. How does that feel?
It's great. It's easy because I can kind of honestly say the things that I would want to say, which is rad. I find myself qualifying the statement when I say it, but I don't think I need to because I think it's pretty true. And I know people have had other experiences, but this community feels like a meritocracy, or as close to a meritocracy as we're going to get in modern society. And so I feel comfortable telling people, if you hustle and you're around, you're going to get what you want. And that was my experience very clearly. And I know that other people have had more difficult experiences than I've had, and some people have had the opposite experience than I have. But I still feel like I'm being pretty honest when I say that this community is a meritocracy, or is it at the very least intended to be a meritocracy and sometimes fails in that effort. And so when people ask me for advice, the advice is always keep doing what you're doing, show up, and be nice. And that's it. If you do that in this community, you're pretty much going to get what you want, or get the shot at least.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people in just the performance industry, you know, theater and film and all that, a lot of times that's all you need. I mean, especially the be nice part. Like, yeah, sure, there's some people that are dicks and you're like, how is that person a jerk? And yet that somehow they've made it through. And it's like, well, some other way they found it. But like, whenever I talk to people who are like trying to move from stage to film, I'll say when you go on the audition, they're not only trying to figure out if you're right for the part, they're trying to decide if they want to hang out with you for a year.
Yeah.
Like, because they're gonna hang out.